Oakland Community Health Network Voting and Advocacy Webinar. Today is Thursday, July 14th, 2022. It's from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. today. We will be starting promptly at 2 p.m. To join us via phone call, you would call 248-462-6341 and enter the conference ID of 911-754-03 #. You can call customer service to get this information if the webinar has already started. That's it's 1-800-341-2003. Next slide, please. For this presentation, please follow the webinar code of conduct. We ask you to please keep your microphones muted during the presentation. Just so you are aware, we will be muting participants that have noticeable noise coming in from their line. For those of you who have called in by phone, you can mute and unmute by pressing *6. The chat box can be shown or hidden by clicking on the comment balloon icon. It is next to the hand icon on computers and some tablets. On a computer or tablet, you can click or tap on the hand icon to raise or lower your hand virtually. You can click on the three-dot icon menu for more options. Live closed captioning in English only is available through the fully downloaded computer version of Microsoft Teams through this three-dot menu. If you click on the red phone icon, you will be disconnected from the webinar. Please sign in again and return to the webinar. This presentation will be recorded, and by participating in it, you will be consenting to be recorded. During the presentation, remember to use the chat box to ask questions and provide comments. At the end of the presentation, we will be taking questions and comments from participants on the phone as well. We will now begin the webinar. This webinar is about an hour in length. Thanks for attending. Next slide, please. Welcome to Your Vote Matters. Voting is Advocacy. Hi, I'm Mark Jones. I work at OCHN Customer Service Department. I am someone who's been working in the mental health field while living with a serious mental illness for the last 35 years. I've been voting in elections even longer than that. First off, who is OCHN? Oakland Community Health Network provides services for adults and children with intellectual/developmental disabilities, mental health concerns, and substance use disorders. Its mission is to inspire hope, empower people, and strengthen communities. Also, who is this webinar for? This presentation is for anyone and everybody who have or doesn't have a disability and is interested in advocating for themselves and in voting. The who is you, no matter who you are. On the next slide, we will be talking about some of the whys of voting. Next slide. Why? Voting is an important part of advocacy. It's not just letter writing or calling legislators. Every vote counts. Your votes adds up, and that is advocacy. Next slide, please. Advocacy is the act of or process of supporting a cause or proposal for something or someone. It is a form of problem solving, finding the best way to improve a situation by protecting the rights of people to receive fair, equal, and humane treatment, improve services, eligibility for services, and enhance service quality, and to ensure adequate funding is made available for valuable services that improve the lives of individuals with disabilities. Next slide, please. An advocate is a person who supports and champions for a cause or a policy, a person who works for a cause or a group, a person who argues for the cause of another person in a court of law, and we are all advocates. Next slide, please. Advocates influence public policy as well as laws and budgets. They use facts to build relationships and educate government officials and community members on important public issues. Advocates initiate positive change for themselves, their family, and their communities. Next slide, please. Important information to understand about elections includes the difference between national and state elections, the governor race, knowing who the candidates are, knowing who is running for the Senate and who is running for the House, understanding pending proposals of interest, the redistricting laws, and how the Michigan legislature works. This slide includes a link to the Michigan U.S. congressional districts as of February 22. It's through zipdatamaps.com, zipdatamaps.com, and we'll be putting that in the chat in a little while. Next slide, please. The thumbs up icon after your vote in this slide is like the like in Facebook, but is much more important than liking a post, a meme, or an article. Your vote is your voice. It's not only a thumbs up, but it also makes a big difference to your neighbors, your community, and in society. Now we will hear from Amit.
Hi, my name is Ahmed. I'm a trainer here at OCHN. I have a disability. I'm sure that my voice is heard on issues that are important to me, and I hope you do the same this November. Take care.
Thank you, Amit. Now Betty will introduce herself and speak more about advocacy.
Good afternoon. My name is Betty Royce. I'm an advocate, author of 3 books, and a member of Easter Seals. Today, I will be providing you with tips on how to advocate. First of all, know the facts. To gain and maintain credibility, it is critical that you have all the facts on both sides of any issue. Having this information at your fingertips will help you in conversations with government officials, the media, other advocates, and the general public. Use the facts. Any position you take should be grounded in the facts. It is often helpful to put your facts into a one-page sheet you can distribute. Next slide. More advocacy tips or have a clear and concise message. Government officials, the press, and the general public do not have time for long conversations or documents. Try not to use acronyms so that everyone understands the issues you are discussing. Nurture relationships. Advocacy is a joint venture. Find your allies and work with them to achieve your advocacy goals. Your chances of success are much greater when there are large numbers and organizations and people on your side. Now we are going to hear from Amy.
Okay, everybody, it is your constitutional right, whether you're disabled or not. Just vote. It's your right. You have every right in the world to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Now we will cover some important things you need to know to vote. The United States Constitution guarantees every citizen aged 18 or older the right to vote. Why vote? It's your right, regardless of who you are. you make a difference. It's important to advocate for yourself. You can influence change and make a positive difference. Your voice matters, your vote counts. You have the role as an advocate for yourself, so make your voice heard. We will now look at your rights as a voter. The United States and State of Michigan Constitution guarantees every U.S. citizen aged 18 or older the right to vote. Whether you vote at the polls or by absentee ballot, voting is a right. If you want the candidate of your choice to win the election, it is important that you vote and make your voice heard. Many people with disabilities do not vote. They want to vote, but many are afraid because of challenges they may face, such as resources and because special accommodations are needed. Because of state and federal laws, polling places have to be ADA compliant to accommodate people with a disability. The polling place may have extra wide doorways, ramps for steps, and extra lighting. The voting station may also be expandable or provide a place for people to sit down while voting. Also, there are special machines at the polling place assigned to be used by persons with disability. This can include an automark machine like the Hard Touch Writer or the Dominion voting machine. Next slide, please. These machines provide privacy, have a large screen, headphones, and a ballot marker. We will talk more about these machines later in the webinar. Don't hesitate to let the election worker know if you need to use one of these machines. Election workers are there to help you. If you are blind, if you have a disability, or if you are unable to read or write, you can have a person of your choice to assist you at the polls. This person can be anyone except your employer, an employer's agent, or an officer or agent of a union that you belong to. Also, because of COVID-19, hand sanitizer will be available to help keep you safe. If you do require assistance at the polls, you may request help in advance by notifying the clerk's office. You can locate your clerk's office on one of the voting websites that we will discuss later in this training. Residents who are deaf and hard of hearing can direct questions they might have to the Department of State Bureau of Elections. The email address for that department is election ELECTIONS at Michigan MICHAN .gov. G-O-V. Please don't hesitate to vote. Your voice, your vote matters. Next slide. These are some advocates talking about being advocates for people beyond themselves.
The ability. Self-advocacy means to speak up.
Speaking up for your rights, no matter what the issue or the concern is.
To speak for oneself and speak for others.
I have my own voice. I speak up for myself.
Standing up for your rights and not relying on staff or your support staff
to make decisions for you.
The ability to be independent, live your life to its fullest extent.
We took issues like will work, will pay.
Be persistent in what you want.
When you got control of your life, of your everyday affairs.
Means given the ability to have choices in my life.
It's not just about information sharing, it's about being in the community.
I worked really hard in the community because of my unique disability to get the word out that people like us should be in the community.
Speaking up for yourself, but also taking responsibility for your things.
Being able to know what you want, being able to go for it, and having somebody else that believes in it, that's able to help you.
I'm gonna fight for those that are like me, or it don't matter, I just don't like people taking advantage of.
They gotta get the word out that they want something out of life.
As much as everybody tries to help people with various kinds of disabilities, we're the ones who really know what we need.
For years, the voices of people with intellectual disability were never heard. Decisions were made for them.
If it doesn't come from us, it comes from people who don't have an intellectual disability and they don't actually have the experience to talk about it.
The professionals need to listen to us more because they don't know as well as we do what we want and need.
Other people will decide what you will do. If you are not at the table, you don't know what those people are going to decide.
A part of being an advocate is to get out there and start networking.
And if you don't know how to do that, you should go and ask a self-advocate person that knows how to do it, and they'll help you.
There's tons of barriers out there, but attitudinal barriers are the biggest, I think.
The biggest thing is being included in the community with society and its inclusion within college, school.
We came out here to learn from y'all anyway, and that's what we want people to understand. What we need help and all that from y'all. That's what we want.
I like to be out, helping people, and to teach people.
I learned to speak up, and not be ashamed of who I am.
Just like the civil rights movement before us, we try to do things to help people speak out for what they want and do what they believe in.
We just wanted to let everybody know just because you have a disability doesn't mean you're less than, or you don't know, or you're not committed to something.
We need a voice. We need to get people to listen.
It's really important that we speak up and tell people what is wrong in this world, and so that we can make it better and we can make a change.
No matter who you are, you have a right to vote and advocate for yourself. Now we will hear from Deborah to tell you about the importance of local elections.
Hi, I'm Deborah, and I am an advocate for mental health, and I've been in the mental health system for 8 years now. I am going to talk about the local elections have been known to have a low voter turnout. This is alarming, as legislation and local officials are determined through these elections. Local elections are important, as being involved in local politics can help individuals to become more politically active in their area. This can be through voting, as well as getting to know your local officials, discuss topics you are passionate about. Some types of local legislation that are driven through voting include funding, such as the public school system, infrastructure, and if the mental health system is public or private. Privatization of the mental health system has been proposed by Michigan State Majority Leader Mike Shirkey. Senate Bills 597 and 598 would privatize all Medicaid mental health services, leading to profit focused insurance companies having full financial control. A new poll has found that two-thirds of Michiganders oppose this bill, as it would decrease mental health services for those who need it most. Michigan's public mental health system has a long history of high performance tailored to individuals and families being served through the mental health system. Voting also determines local officials such as judges, district attorneys, and members of the Board of Education. As you can see, local elections impact everyday lives, so it is critical to vote and voice what you feel most strongly about. There are some helpful voting resources for you. State of Michigan website, www.michigan vote/vote. You can find your local clerk and polling location, as well as watch videos about voting equipment, how to register, and much more. Oakland County Clerk is www.oakgov.com/CLERKROD. You can register to vote and find your polling location. It is located at 1200 North Telegraph Road, Building 12, East Pontiac, Michigan 48341, and his phone number is it is 1-888-350-0900. That is 1-888-350-0900. League of Women Voters of Michigan, www.lwvmi.org. You can educate yourself about important voting issues and learn more about voting. These resources can help answer individualized questions like, am I actually registered to vote at my current address? Who is my city township clerk? What is their phone number and where is their office? Where is my phone location? What do I need to register to vote? How can I request an absentee voter's ballot application? These links to these resources are on OCHN website under voting resources. Requirements for being able to register to vote in Michigan are: you need to be a Michigan resident at the time you register, be a resident of the city or township for at least 30 days by the time you vote, be a U.S. citizen and at least 18 years of age by the time you vote. Additionally, you must not currently serving a sentence in jail or prison. However, a person waiting arraignment and not yet convicted of a crime can vote by absentee ballot. Felons in Michigan can also vote once they have served their sentence. Only Kentucky and Iowa do not restore the voting rights of felons. If you meet all the requirements to register to vote, you can then register in a variety of ways. You are automatically registered to vote when you renew your driver's license or state ID at the Secretary of State office. You can also online using the website resources listed on the previous slide or on the OCHN website. You can register at Oakland County Clerk's office in Pontiac, and you can always register to vote at your local city or township clerk's office. You can find out the contact information on your local city or township clerk using the website resources listed on the previous slide or on the OCHN website. A question you may have been what you do if you are moving at the time of the election. You can vote at your previous polling place one last time, or by planning ahead, you can put in an application to vote using an absentee voting. I will be reviewing absentee voting on the next slide. All eligible and registered voters in Michigan may request an absentee voter ballot. There's an application, a request for the absentee vote ballot, which is different from the absentee ballot itself. Requests to have an absentee voter ballot mailed to you must be received by your clerk no later than 5 p.m. the Friday before the election. The Friday before August the 2nd is July 29th, and the Friday before November 8th is November the 4th. You can register and apply for an absentee voter ballot at the same time. After receiving your absentee voter ballot, you have until 8 p.m. on election day to complete the ballot and return it to the clerk's office. Now we will go over the voting process. Next slide, please. First, you must mark your ballot. You can get assistance with this either from a person or by assistive technology. Second, you place your completed ballot in the secrecy envelope. Absentee voters use an absentee voter envelope. Third, you return the ballot to the designated person by inserting it into the counting machine. Absentee voters return their ballot to the clerk's office in person or by mail. If you mail it, make sure to include an extra postage required for the ballot. And finally, congratulate yourself. Be proud. You have just voted and made your voice heard. As mentioned before, voting assistance is available. There are people at the polls to help you vote if you request it. Also, there are ballot marking systems that enable you to vote independently. Now we will hear from Amit on using assistive technology to vote.
My name is Ahmed. I'm a trainer with OCHN, and I use a piece of assistive technology that's available at your local polling place that reads the ballot to me and marks my choices. So that's how I vote with a disability. I hope you exercise your right to vote this November. Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, Ahmed. Now Mark will tell you more about voter assist terminals.
What are voter assist terminals? They are pieces of adaptive technology that are used for privacy and accessibility of voters who have certain disabilities. Oakland County polling places uses the Heart Touch Writer. Please tell an election worker if you need to use a voter assist terminal. You should not have to call ahead to make sure that your polling place has them. Every polling place should have one. If you vote in a county other than Oakland County, you may use a different type of voter assist terminal, like the Dominion or ES&S. You can find information on the various voter assist terminals on the Michigan Voters Information Center, which is mvic.sos.state.mi.us. I am now going to go over the voting dates in 2022. There are two elections coming up this year in Michigan. On Tuesday, August 2nd, we have the state primary election. where people get to choose which candidates are put on the ballot for the general election in November. Most of the contestants in the state primary are for the legislators in the state of Michigan and for the House of Representatives seats, as well as those for local elections. The general election on Tuesday, November 8th, is when citizens throughout the country vote for who they want in office at all levels, federal, state, and local. Now I will go over some important voting registration deadlines. These voting registration deadlines are important for you, especially if you are not registered to vote at the address where you currently reside. You can find out if you are at the Michigan Voter Information Center, mvic.sos.state.mi.us, from your voter information search. This is only if you plan to register to vote in a way other than in person with your local city or township clerk. If you want to register by mail, online, or at the Secretary of State office with Oakland County Clerk, you need to register 14 days prior to the election. That is July 18th, which is coming up soon, for the August 2nd election, or by October 24th for the general election on November 8th. However, with proof of residency, like your state ID or driver's license, you can always register in person at your local city or township clerk up until 8 p.m. of the actual day of the election. The next video is from the 2020 election, but still applies to upcoming elections. The information in it summarizes some important points of our presentation today. One note is that if you change your address at the Secretary of State within 14 days of an election, you will need to register to vote with your city or township clerk. Next page, please. Next slide. We will have another voting and advocacy webinar after the primary election on August 2nd. It will be on September 15th at 2 p.m. You can access the voting webinar from the newly designed OCHN website on the next slide. I will direct you to the new OCHN website with this updated voting resource. There will also be PDF flyers distributed with the links to join by computer, like you see on the slide. They will also have the Microsoft Teams conference IDs on them. For phone access, you will call 248-462-6341. Then you would enter the Teams meeting conference ID of 866-848-097 # as seen on the left side of the slide. I'll repeat this. You would call 248-462-6341 and then enter a Teams meeting conference ID of 866-484-097 #. Next slide, please. If I can get my page turned over. On a computer, tablet, or smartphone, you would use a browser like Chrome, Safari, or Edge and type into the browser www.oaklandchn.org and hit enter. The OCHN virtually voting webinars are on the OCHN calendar under the How Do I tab. Look for the calendar link under the Find heading on the left side of the drop-down menu. Also, the OCHN HEB's homepage, if you scroll down far enough, there will be events and highlights section. Under events tab, there will be a calendar where you can register to attend events such as the webinar. To find the voting resources, mouse over resource tab near the top right of the page, then look for voting resources at the bottom right corner and click on it. On a smartphone or tablet, you will look for the three-line icon at the upper right-hand part of your screen. This is sometimes called the hamburger menu because it looks a little bit like a hamburger with a bun on top, a burger, and then a bottom bun. Tap on it to get your menu options to drop down. Tap on Resources, scroll down to Voting Resources, tap on Voting Resources to get the page with the links to the voting resources mentioned in this presentation. Next slide, please. This is what the page looks like for the voting resources, where you can find links mentioned in this webinar, as well as much more information. This is also where we will have the links to the recording of the webinars. This now concludes the presentation portion of the Voting and Advocacy webinar. We will now be taking questions and comments from participants. What are some questions or comments from the chat box? Are there any? Kaylee? Okay. Go ahead with your questions. Once you have unmuted your microphone, you can press *6 or unmute your microphone for any of the participants in the webinar. Do we have any questions? I see Bridget has her hand up. Go ahead, Bridget.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I just want to say that that was very well done and it was very informative. And actually, all my questions were answered during the webinar.
Thank you. That was good to hear.
Yep.
Okay. If you think of any questions later on, you can call customer service, which is 1-800-341-2003. That's 1-800-341-2003 between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. We are glad to help. Please ask for Marty or Jordy and leave us a message and we'll get back to you. Thanks for attending Voting and Advocacy, Your Vote Matters webinar brought to you by Oakland Community Health Network. It is your right to vote. Your vote matters.